Hi there, I'm Luke, owner here at The Wild Movement. I want to talk to you today about nutrition. Now, this can be a very complex topic, or it can be a very simple topic. It invariably seems to be complex because there are so many different opinions about nutrition. There are so many different players and points of argument pushing their own agenda. But what I want to present to you here shortly today, and hopefully briefly, is how we can keep nutrition simple and not get muddled by all the noise out there. So, first and foremost, what am I talking about when I say nutrition? All I'm talking about here is the food and the drinks that we put into our body. So, you would think it's a natural thing to know what our body needs. 100, 200, 500 years ago, it would have been a lot more natural to intuitively know, because there was not so much of that muddy noise. There weren't so many choices. There wasn't so much information. We ate what was in front of us, which was typically something that I call real food. And here at the Wild Movement, one of our biggest philosophies is, if we connect back to how we were living hundreds of years ago, so many of our health problems would cease to exist. And so many of our health problems come from what we put in here. Because everything that we put into ourselves becomes information to our body. What is our body reading of what we put in? Is it good information? Or is it pretty crappy information? So, with that said, what do we suggest? Now, first and foremost, there's always a asterisk with context. Anything that's black and white invariably is not considering all options, because nutrition is very individual. What works for one person typically won't work for another. And there's a lot of theories on this based on, I won't go into it. But there are some big fundamentals that we really think the majority of people should be covering. So, and most of these fundamentals, let me say, are not really argued in scientific literature. And there's even a lot of cross-acceptance across different fundamental thoughts around nutrition on these elements, even without science as well. So, the fundamentals that we really think you should be covering. Number one, water. We want to make sure we are drinking enough water. So that's your first consideration. And what is enough water? Generally, if you take your body weight and divide it by 30, that is roughly how many liters of water you should be having each day before even adding on any sweating, whether it's from sauna or whether it's from training. So if I was 100 kilos, I should be having around about 3 liters or so of water. Okay, so that's your first goal. The next goal is to make that water filtered. So we want to try and remove the toxins, the fluoride, the chlorine, as much as we can, the bacteria, out of that water. You can purchase really good home filters these days for something between sort of $300 to $500. You can go even cheaper than that. It obviously just won't remove as much. So, water. Number 2 is good quality protein. Now, what I'm talking about here with protein is generally meat, dairy, and then things like legumes, tofu, other beans, whey. And then what I'm talking about in terms of quality is we really want grass-fed, organic as the gold standard. That's because generally grass-fed has been shown to have a much higher profile of healthy fats, micronutrients, with less toxins or no toxins at all. And then we also really believe in the ethical practices of grass-fed, organic, locally sourced if possible. But first and foremost, we just want to make sure that we're having some protein at each meal. Whether you're eating 2 times per day or 4 times per day, try and make sure that your meal is centered around that protein. Protein is the powerhouse to preserving the muscle that we have and helping us build more muscle. And muscle is one of the biggest keys to longevity. It's the thing that's going to make us live a more fulfilled life as we get older, because we can essentially do more. So number 1, water. Number 2, protein. Number 3, micronutrients in the form of a large array of vegetables and fruit. Okay, and once again, ideally it's locally sourced and organic, but that's not always an option depending on economics, depending on availability. So once again, we just want to make sure first and foremost that we are getting fruits and vegetables in every day. So they would be the big fundamentals that I would make sure that I was covering every single day. Water, protein at each meal, and micronutrients in the form of lots of fruit and vegetables. Then you can argue what's around the edges. Do you like to eat less carbs in the form of grains? Do you like to eat more carbs? Okay, that is where there's a little bit of dogma and where there can be arguments made both ways. But I'm trying to cover the big fundamentals here that really can't be argued against. So if you focus on those areas and focus on eating as much as you can from home, where you prepare your food in a perfect world, then you're going to be going a very, very long way to helping yourself with body composition, with energy, with thought clarity, and with performance. So I hope that helps you today to clear the confusion and to get a little more clear with what you need to focus on. Any questions at all, please reach out. We're all here to help you.